This is the Road Testament. I'm Alex Roy. This guy, JF Musial. And this week we're discussing what Gemballa means in Italian, Alfa Romeo's return to the United States, and my solution for USF1's problems this year.
Your solution's going to be any better?
I have a plan.
This episode of Fastlane Daily is brought to you by Auto Wall Art. Turn your favorite automotive photo into a work of canvas art. Go to autowallart.com.
We're starting off today with Gemballa, the tuning company, the Porsche tuning company out of Germany, which reportedly has their CEO on the run now. Well, we first heard stories and rumors that he was kidnapped in South Africa, maybe doing hot weather testing with one of his prototypes, which may or may not be his. But now reports are coming out from actually carsuk.net saying that he's actually on the run, and the German authorities have actually seized his headquarters in Germany.
If you are a tuner, and you're not racing a car, and you're spending more money on carbon fiber than actually improving the performance of the car, then you are very likely to go out of business. Mm-hmm. And you could actually have an odds. In Vegas, there's probably a room you can go to place bets on who's going under. I mean, look at Hennessy, Dynan, Callaway. These guys have actually raced their cars. But if you're looking at buying a Gemballa, you're probably never going to drive it even out of your own living room, and there are people like that.
Well, it's kind of a long legacy of tuners. Like you look at Tech Art, they really didn't produce much other than body kits and a few modifications that actually came from other tuning houses.
But who are the guys who modify Ferraris that Ferrari will invalidate your warranty?
Novitec.
How do those guys stay in business? Southern California?
Yeah, probably enough of dumb Ferrari owners that don't know what they're doing.
Listen, as soon as Uwe Gemballa, who shares the same first name as Uwe Boll, who makes the worst car movies ever, as soon as he announced he was going to a married entrepreneurs conference in South Africa, was that yeah,
really?
He was going to a married entrepreneurs. I mean,
that was his excuse for
let me
quitting
tell
the
you,
country.
all his clients are going to a single entrepreneurs conference in Aruba, so you knew that something was up.
Alfa Romeo, actually, we heard news that Alfa Romeo, within the next 24 months, will be returning. Now, they have been here since the 8C was released, but that was more of testing the waters just to see how the market.
The 8C actually was released here?
Yeah, they were testing the waters with a few hundred units in the country.
I love Alfa Romeo. I drive one every time I go to Europe. I go to Italy. I rent one. I love those cars. They're sick. The 146. Even the old one was the 156.
Yeah.
Awesome. 164. Cool car.
They all look great, but sometimes they don't run that great. But that's
they
not
run
what
really well now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The old Alphas in '95, actually, the year they left, weren't as good as they should have been.
No, but that was part of the game.
Yeah, the cars look good, but then when you open up that engine bay and you see the chrome in the engine, it's
just cool.
Beautiful. Well, what do you think about Alfa returning? You think it's going to work in 24 months from now?
Well,
is it really going to be worth their while?
Alfa, Fiat, these brands can only work if they're badged as what they are. You can't badge engineer an Alfa into a Chrysler or something else. It's like, can you take a Chrysler to Italy and badge it a Fiat or an Alfa?
Can't happen.
No Italian would be. I mean, brand nomenclature is an absolute disaster. Did they even teach that in school? Because BMW and
I would hope not.
I have a 3 Series, you know what it is. I have an E-Class, you know what it is.
Yeah.
If you say you have a Cayenne, you have a Porsche, unfortunately it's a Pepper instead of.
Well, if it's in the signature font, you get it.
Right. I mean, but the reality is these cars are what they are. They've spent decades building these awesome brands, and that deserve to be what they are. And Chrysler's made some good cars. You wouldn't rebadge they often rebadge Buicks. If they come here under their own name, they can make it.
Yeah.
They're really cool cars.
You think it's going to work under the Chrysler dealership network?
That's the hard thing to understand, because you're the kind of person who'd want to buy a Fiat or an Alfa or a Lancia, any Italian brand, is not the same person who would be buying a Chrysler.
Exactly. Well, what do we see coming first? We got the Fiat 500. That's kind of
awesome.
It's no brainer. It's got to become.
It's the Italian Mini.
It's not going to be named the Fiat 500.
It should be.
Agreed. Well, Chrysler 300, Chrysler 500 actually would fit that nomenclature.
Well, yeah, it would work, but it should be a Fiat. No.
No.
It should just be the Fiat 500.
Moving on to US F1, the joke that it is.
No, it's not a joke. Come on.
For us to have to talk about motorsports actually says something, because Leo won't even touch this subject because he thinks
he knows more about it than anyone.
Well, yeah, he knows, of course, the whole situation, but he doesn't even want to touch US F1 because it is a joke.
He never took them seriously, perhaps.
Well, what do you think?
The news coverage is actually unfair. This is motorsport. Teams go bankrupt. Teams have a hard time finding sponsorship. I mean, That's just what it's about.
Well, USF1 made the big fuss about we're a small, very narrow-minded team that is going to make a big push for the World Championship.
Yeah.
They said in the
They never said they're making a push for the World Championship.
Well, of course, but
they said they're making a push into being the most modern teams with media, press, transparency, access, YouTube. Chad Hurley put money in.
Yeah. They consider themselves the Skunkworks of a Skunkworks F1 team, being that small, but we can get the job done with the right people. They haven't been able to do it.
You can't fault them for maybe having trouble with their sponsor money or not having enough money to get to deployment in time. You can fault them only for one thing, and it's the same thing you can fault any new racing team, and I know a thing or two about this, is that you should never pick a target that is too ambitious. They announced last year they wanted to race this year. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's, it takes a year just to put your business together. Secondly, even if they could raise the money in a year, there's no way you could get the driver and the testing and the car ready in that time span. They should, instead of being like the North Korea of racing and be all secretive, they said they'd be transparent. They should just fire their publicist, announce they had some trouble with the sponsorship and financing, and delay 1 year.
You really think that they can survive another year?
I don't know if they can, but if their only chance to survive the media problems they have now is just announce, hey, whatever the truth is, we're having issues, and we'll be there next year.
So they've got 3 races they can miss, but they've got to make the 4th in order to compete in the rest of the season.
In order to qualify to be eligible for points.
Yeah, of course.
But they could show up.
Well,
they can't win anyway.
They have to show up on the 4th race, even if they don't race any other time of the season. They have to show up on that 4th race.
Who cares? The reality is, it's a first-year team. They probably are trying to deploy a 1 year too early. If they're short on cash, they should just go to Germany and make a deal, buy up all the Gemballa powertrains, and get the hell out there. Look, if they would just be open and transparent about it and just delay a year, it'd be fine. If they show up at the 4th race and the car even moves,
that's true.
It's fine.
That's true. You don't want to go to your audience and not tell them anything. You actually want to communicate with your audience.
Who's broadcasting F1 this year in the U.S.?
Speed still.
Okay.
Speed and Fox News Corp.
If USF1 shows up with a car that doesn't move, what's the top story going to be? USF1. So the sponsors get their coverage. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's like the U.S. Grand Prix 4 years ago, where all the Michelin guys.
They should bring a car that doesn't run. Bring Michael Ramius. Claim that the car was sabotaged. Speed will just interview Ramius. They have a new young star. He's awesome. The car, just make sure the car looks good. And this is business.
Ramius is
and he's named after the captain from Red October.
Alex, great road test
Good
for
to
today.
See you.
Tomorrow we've got Leo on Shakedown talking about drugs. You don't want to miss that one.
Well, following up on the Gemballa smuggling story, but that's not.